Hello everybody, it's Vicky again. I actually have a memory card now that works, so I'm back to my normal quality. Very sorry Epica for that awful video filmed on my phone. But yeah, we're back to normal, so hopefully things look right again. Today I am going to do an unhaul. I recently put up a photo on my Instagram of piles of books that I had decided I didn't need anymore. I've moved my shelves around. They're still kind of full, so maybe I'll end up doing another unhaul soon. Even though I'm actually really up to date with my reading, so I actually kind of need to haul soon. Otherwise I'm not going to have any new books. But who knows, maybe I'll start rereading like I keep telling myself I'm going to. Yeah, so I have full shelves, but I have 3 huge piles of books that I'm also getting rid of. So I'm just going to quickly go through them in the piles that they're in. Like, there's no special order or anything like that. It's nothing too exciting. So the first book is pretty simple, and that is Little Miss Chatterbox by Roger Hargreaves. This was a joke present many years ago. I'm sure you can probably guess why, because I'm chatty. So I just don't really need it anymore. It's kind of survived many an unhaul just because it's so small, so it's kind of been hidden in between books and I've not noticed it. But I'm going to give this to my niece and she can enjoy reading it. You know, she's nearly 4 now, so she's kind of at the age where this is age appropriate. So yeah, just gonna give that as a gift to my niece. Then I have a trilogy, which I think this is the one that's kind of the most sentimental to me, the one that I've kind of found the hardest to part with, but I'm never going to read it again. I just know I'm not going to. And they take up quite a bit of room, and that is the Cafes series. It's by 3 authors. I just have their surnames, Stewart, Wiseman and Brigg. So I apologise that I don't know your full names, but yeah. So I read these when I was in school, and I believe the last book I read whilst I was in college, because I think that came out after I'd left school. But I was really into these at the time. Like, I got them as they came out, and they were favourites. Like, I really loved them. I can't believe I just blanked on the word favourite there. But yeah, these were really like a top series for me when I was younger, but I haven't reread them in a very long time, and I don't think I'm going to reread them again. I will show you the insides of these ones. So these books are like Kathy's journals, and then inside you get like the kind of evidence that what Kathy is saying in the journal is true, because there's like little pieces, bits and pieces, so you can see like newspaper clipping, phone number, a little like tissue with a note on, and then like the journal has like doodles and things inside it. And so these were a really great, interesting idea, and I think this is such a nice addition to have, because you can get the edition where it's just literally like a book. There's no bits and pieces or journal notes or anything like that, which is fine. Like, you can read the story that way, but I think this is the best way. Only time I'm going to recommend the hardback. So that was Kathy's book. This is Kathy's key. Oh, okay. Apparently I have broken this one. Oh, that's a bit sad. But this is the bits that go with Kathy's key. I might have to just tape that in so that when I donate it, they know that this is part of this book. But because I'm going to donate these all to charity. But that's a shame. Oh, which probably says something though about the amount of times that I've read these and cared about them. And then the last one is Kathy's ring. Again, you get all the stuff inside. But yeah, I loved this series growing up, but it's just not really worth keeping anymore, and it takes up a lot of room. And I hope someone who is in their teens can find that series and fall in love with it just like I did. Then the last of the hardbacks, because you know I'm known for having lots of hardback books, is Lips Touch by Laini Taylor, and this is the author of the Daughter of Smoke and Bone trilogy, which I have kept, that's survived. But This is a short story collection, and I think I've said it enough times now that I don't really care for short stories. I always get into them and then they're finished and I'm like, oh, I see. There are times when that isn't the case, and there's, you know, I have kept some short stories and novellas, things like that, but this one I'm just not too bothered about, so that's going. I need to make more room for where I can pile all these books. The next one is short stories again, Shards and Ashes by Melissa Marr and Keely Armstrong, and pretty much the only reason I have this is that Melissa Marr was in it and I'm a big fan of her. Wicked Lovely series. I'm currently reading 7 Black Diamonds. Oh wow, that really... Apparently I'm getting so old I can't even remember what I'm currently reading. And I'm really enjoying it, and I'm going to try and hopefully find the second book because it seems to be quite difficult to get it in England. So I'm going to try and have a look for it so that I can continue because I'm really enjoying that series so far. But yeah, this is just a short story collection. It's kind of like dystopian based, which should be my thing. But again, every time that I started getting invested in a world, the story was over and I'm over it. So yeah, someone else who's more of a short story person can get that and enjoy it. The next one I think is a complete duology, but it could be more and I just don't know about it because I've fallen off the radar with it, and that's Replica and Ringer by Lauren Oliver. Yeah, Lauren Oliver. And this is the books where if you read it from one side, it's Lyra's story. You read it from the other side, it's Gemma's story, and you can kind of switch the book around chapter by chapter to read it that way, or you could read the entire book from one character and then read the entire book from the other character. I did it chapter by chapter and I enjoyed them, they were fun, but I'm just not invested enough to know if this series is even still going, and I don't really care to look, but they were fun at the time, so yeah. This one might be a little bit of a controversial declutter because it's a popular series, or at least it was back in the day. I want to say like 2016. And that is An Ember in the Ashes and a Torch Against the Night by Sabaa Tahir. I don't really remember what happened in these books. I think, if I remember correctly, that the boy who's the main character in here, I say boy, maybe man, who knows, I'm sure they're teenagers though, he's kind of under his mother's ruling because she's like a general in the army or something and he's like a soldier. Oh, this probably says it all. I don't really remember. I'm sure there's some sort of like vengeance for my family story going on with the girl, but these haven't stuck with me at all, and I know I gave the first book probably a much better rating than I would now, because I won it, so that's probably, you know, I was more excited about it. But yeah, I'm not bothered about this series, and I need to stop telling myself that I am, because I have too many series that I've already started that I am far more entertained by, and yeah, it's time to let go. This one is a full series, a trilogy, at least I think it is, and that is The Sin Eater's Daughter by Melinda Salisbury. If you remember, if you follow me for whatever reason on Goodreads or on this channel, I gave the first book 5 stars and I was kind of obsessed with it. Like, no, I was really into it. I was proper invested. Then I read the next 2 and I stopped caring completely. The story just kind of went all over the place. We followed different characters that didn't even seem to be mentioned in the first book, and I just stopped caring, especially since the things that I cared about in the first book kind of got pooped all over in the next 2. So yeah, I'm just gonna get that out of my life and I don't need to worry about it anymore. This next one, I read this book a while ago. I got it as a surprise. I was really grateful, so don't take this as me not being grateful. And I remembered liking it at the time, but now I don't remember anything about it. I kind of like forgot I owned it, so I didn't buy any of the sequels, and that is Dorothy Must Die by Danielle Page, which is a Wizard of Oz based world. So should be something that's kind of up my alley. but I don't really remember anything about this, and I don't own any of the other books, and I kind of have stopped planning to own any of the other books now. And I've heard questionable things about Danielle Page. It seems to be some sort of pseudonym to get books published. I remember reading into the conspiracy a little while ago, and I've kind of forgotten again, which kind of says it all, that I've even forgotten the drama behind this book. So I'm just going to part ways with it, and I'm sure someone else can start that series and fall in love with it. Last in this pile, and coming up to, oh no, I'm lying, I'll stop myself there, is Winter Song and Shadow Song by S.J. Jones. I think this is the first one, and it's like a labyrinth retelling, as in like the Jim Henson movie Labyrinth, which I'm not the biggest fan of, which upsets me because Jim Henson is my entire childhood. But I didn't even know Labyrinth existed until I was an adult, and then I watched it and I was just like, I'm not sure I like this. Prefer Dark Crystal, to be honest. Anyways, moving on from controversial opinions. I really liked the first book, and then the second book kind of just took it and stretched the story out far too much for it to still be anything to be invested in, and so kind of put a dampener on how much I enjoyed the first book, and so I'm just going to get rid of them, and then I don't have to worry about enjoying either of them because they're out of my life. Next is, I'm going to do this pile because it's an entire series. So I have 24 books in this pile, when I can get them round to me. And these are the Negima books. And I don't think I have bought another book for this series in like a decade. Certainly I haven't bought any of books in this series since moving to the city, I don't think. And that's coming up to 6 years. Oh yes. So so yeah, that kind of says it all. I've got the anime on DVD. I have both versions because apparently they made 2 separate series with different endings, so I'm going to find out what the real ending is to the books. I'm going to cheat and spoil myself, and then if I ever want to get back into this story again, I'm just going to watch my DVDs, because these editions aren't really in print in English anymore. So if I wanted this story, I'd have to probably buy different versions and start all over again, and I'm only doing that for Fushigi Yugi. I'm sorry, Negima, you were great and all, I enjoyed you when I was younger, but my time with you has come. So I'm just going to move on from it. And the same goes for the next couple of series, is that they're kind of not in print anymore. So this one is School Rumble. I have attempted to buy books in this series and there's always ones missing. Like I've tried to finish it and I just can't. Like I just can't. So it's not worth keeping anymore. I was really into this when I was younger. I think this is probably, of my manga that I'm getting rid of today, this is probably the one that's the most upsetting, because if you'd have asked, you know, 16-year-old me what were her top 5 series, this probably would have been in there. But I just can't finish it, and it's not worth tracking down desperately editions of a series that I haven't even attempted really to read in years, so I'm just going to let go. There is an anime of School Rumble which I also started watching, and then that got taken off. What was I watching it on? Like Crunchyroll back in the day or something? And it got taken off, and so I've only seen like half of the anime too. So I've kind of probably watched about as much as I've read, and it's been a long time since I've tried to finish either, so I think that's the end of it for me in School Rumble. The next one is, I can get it, 11 copies of Rurouni Kenshin, 11 volumes, so not all the same book, of Rurouni Kenshin, which again, it's just been so long since I've kind of remembered about this series. I did get book 11 not too long ago. Like I feel like this one's the one where I got an edition the most recently, but again I've looked into getting more editions and they're kind of hit and miss, and this version of the story isn't really in print anymore, so I'm just going to cut my losses and give up on it. It's not worth me trying to keep the series going anymore, I don't think. So, you know, it was great while it lasted, guys, but bye. Then I've got 2 more novels here, and these are both kind of along the same lines as to why I'm not keeping them anymore. I think these 2 might be a little bit controversial. Not in any particularly bad way. I just think these are probably the ones that people are going to be quite upset that I'm not keeping. And that is Simon versus the Homo Sapiens Agenda by Becky Albertalli. Ooh, my mouth did not want to say that word. Yeah, so I watched the movie Love, Simon, and I knew about the book for ages, but for some reason, I don't know why, the universe gave me the movie first. So I watched the movie, and then I read the book, and I really enjoyed the book, but it's a contemporary novel, and they don't tend to do well in my keeping. I'll read one and I'll be fine with it, but it's just I'm not invested enough to keep it. And I think it's a lovely story. I think it's great that we're writing more stories like this and that we're getting movies made of stories like this. But if, again, kind of like with my manga, if I want to relive this story, I'll watch the movie, but I'm just not going to keep the book. No offence. And the same goes with this. Exactly the same story goes with this one. But this is the one that I'm a bit like, oh, can't believe I'm getting rid of this on camera. The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas. Again, love the movie. I think I prefer the movie's ending to the book's ending. Controversial, probably. And I think this is a very important book. I'm really glad that I have read it, and I think that this should be a book that's taught in schools. But I just aren't as invested in keeping contemporary reads. I like fantasy, I like sci-fi, you know, I like dystopia. I like to get out of the reality and go off into a whole new world. And so this doesn't do that for me, so I'm not as attached to it, and I'm kind of more willing to get rid of it. And again, we own the movie, so if I want to watch it, I'll just crack the DVD out and watch it that way. Which was weird that we tried to look for it on Blu-ray and it didn't exist on Blu-ray, so we had to buy it on DVD. So there's a fun fact. It probably does exist somewhere, but at the time we just couldn't find it anywhere. So yeah, fun fact. And those are all the books that I'm getting rid of. So again, if you want to follow me on Instagram, which is where I kind of teased this unhaul, I am fangirl Vicky on there. Vicky spelled with an E because I spell it wrong. I'm kind of trying to be a bit more varied in posts, you know, because I'm going through a huge makeup phase in my life. Maybe this is my midlife crisis, but I'm kind of just obsessed, and I'm kind of getting into panning a little bit, and I'm trying to figure out whether or not I should incorporate that into my Instagram or even here on my channel. But it's something that excites me in my daily life, and I have a friend and I send her pictures like, look at this, I've panned something. So, you know, it's something that I'm doing a lot recently. So yeah, there's a quick update. Thank you so much for watching, and hopefully I will see you again soon. Bye!